Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Bruner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Hello. Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee. Today, we're talking about some fantasy football news yet again, just going through the headlines and breaking it down, what it means for fantasy football, what it means for draft value, dynasty value, and everything in between. If you're tuning in live, definitely just jump in the chat, ask us anything, or sit quiet, hang out, whatever you got to do. But subscribe if you're watching live. Subscribe if you're listening to the podcast after the fact as well. Give us a 5-star review. And, let's just talk a little bit of football here. Trevor lands in the middle, Luke Reimer on the right for people watching the video. I am Zach Bruner, and I think the biggest news, at least new news right now, is Cooper Kupp. So obviously Cooper Kupp, one of the best fantasy football wide receivers 2 years ago. Last year started out absolutely dominating, and then he tears an ACL, out for the year. We're talking about, is he the wide receiver 1? Is he the wide receiver 2? Overall, I think is the conversation we were having. I think it was a show just Luke and we were talking about, like, I like Cooper Kupp at the very least as the number 2 wide receiver over Jamar Chase. But the recent news now, there is a Cooper Kupp injury. He has a hamstring injury, left Rams training camp. Obviously, got an MRI on it. From everything we have heard, there is no bad news about the MRI, which I suppose is good news. But Cooper Kupp is going to be out for a few weeks. Obviously, it's training camp. It's not something he needs to be there for. So I don't think we need to freak out about it. But Trevor, just knowing the news, knowing Cooper Kupp is coming off of a major injury, has another injury, are you panicking? Are you moving him down your draft board? Are you doing anything at all?
I'm not worried about him at all, because as long as he's on the field, they're going to force feed it to him. If it was a aggravation of a knee or like scar tissue forming or something like that on that knee that, he just injured, then maybe I think we're having a different conversation here. But it's August 2nd, and I think every year, at least I get caught by surprise that games don't start till like the 10th of September. Crazy. People think it starts the first week of September. It never does. So like, I don't think there's any reason. He's got a month in fantasy football term. That's 4 weeks. I know we talked a little about it offline. Would this injury have him out 4 weeks during the regular season? Probably not. So he's got 4 weeks till the game. So am I worried about it? No.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as you, Trevor. I think in terms of fantasy, like I told you guys, I'm a big, I own a lot of Cooper Kupp stock across a lot of leagues. I saw that headline last night, Cooper Kupp injury, and the only thing I did was see if Ben Skoranek or whoever is available, just as a failsafe. Not that you're ever going to need to start Ben Skoranek, given the situation right now. But my first instinct was to look at what Rams receivers are available, just as a final fail-safe in case something crazy were to happen.
I think that's fair. I'm not sure if Ben Skoranek's going to be the one to benefit. I feel like he's locked into whatever role he is.
That's fair.
I could see Van Jefferson moving up. I know you're a big Van Jefferson guy. I think people hyped him up so much last year, and they were just disappointed because they raised the bar for him so much and he didn't meet that. So now this year, nobody's on him. So I think that is a possibility. Like, he's going to see more looks in training camp. He's going to develop more rapport with either quarterback who's in there. So I think there's a chance Van Jefferson's stock goes up. And Puka Nacua is almost drafted to be the next Cooper Kupp. So who knows? He just needs snaps. He needs time to develop. And now he's going to get that. So I think that is somewhat interesting. I also am just not really panicking about Cooper Kupp at all. Like I feel completely fine if I have him for dynasty, et cetera, et cetera. However, I think we've talked about this a little bit as well, and we'll get into more draft strategy as August rolls along. But first round pick, second round pick, you need to just not miss. If your guy gets hurt, if your guy, doesn't perform, that's where you're screwed. I'm looking at guys looking for red flags, looking for people to give me reasons not to draft them. I guess to you guys, is this a reason not to draft Cooper Kupp versus Jamar Chase versus Austin Eckler, somebody like that?
To me, it's not. I mean, I think if Cooper Kupp is on the field, if he's ready week one, which I mean, it all sounds that way. It all sounds like Cooper Kupp is going to be playing football this year. I don't know if there's a bigger target hound in the NFL than Cooper Kupp. No. So I think I made the argument that Cooper Kupp should be the number one pick on this show maybe a month or so ago. I'm still kind of in that same range. Like this is not scaring me off of drafting Cooper Kupp, anything like that. I think draft Cooper Kupp. I understand if you draft Justin Jefferson or like Austin Eckler, or Christian McCaffrey first, but draft Cooper Kupp high, and you'll reap the benefits come fantasy playoffs.
And Trevor's muted.
I know. I mean, it kind of. I guess it sounds weird, but at least fantasy football is such a crapshoot. Like in my opinion, I look at it. It's very important not to miss, but in a lot of leagues, if one of your top 3-round players goes down, that's pretty much the norm for a lot of people, which is crazy to think about. So for me, I look at, is possibly missing him worth passing up on all the extra points he's going to get you compared to an Eckler and a Chase? I like Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase doesn't hold anything to Cooper Kupp's production, and I can't trust him. So could Cooper Kupp go down? Yes. Am I also going to take him understanding that only Cooper Kupp going down is not going to tank my entire season? Yes. But you can be held back from winning a championship because you go for Jamar Chase to be safe over Cooper Kupp.
I think that's fair. And yeah, I mean, I still feel good about Cooper Kupp. I will say, I think he's going to go down draft boards, which I love. Obviously. Oh, yeah. So right now he's going 5th in PPR leagues. That's behind Jamar Chase at 3. Then Austin Eckler, he's 5th. It's just ahead of Travis Kelce's, who I think I actually would take Travis Kelce probably over everybody named Justin Jefferson, in my personal opinion. But that's just me. But then Tyreek Hill's at 7. And Tyreek Hill only does highlights. He only makes highlights. He's going to be shared on social media so much. He's going to hop Cooper Kupp easily. He just will. Because if Cooper Kupp's injured, people will look, oh, he's injured, he's not practicing. And Tyreek Hill is all over Twitter or X or whatever the fuck we're calling it now. Like Tyreek Hill's going to jump him. Is it like they changed the domain on me now? Like it's
still Twitter on my phone. I'm going to sell it for $100,000.
I mean, your phone also can't log into Instagram, I think. So, I mean, there's multiple.
It's a little give and take, man.
Fair enough. But Bijan Robinson's 8. He's going to make highlights in the preseason. He's just going to. Saquon, people are going to get more comfortable with him if he's there. Diggs, I don't know. But like I could see Cooper Kupp dropping to 9. So if I'm in a 10-team league, I get Cooper Kupp at 9 and come around to get a Nick Chubb. Like I feel really good.
Yeah.
I feel really, really good about that.
Yep.
Anything else to say about Cooper Kupp before we go to the chat? We can talk to answer some questions here. Randy wants to know about the Joe Burrow injury, but you got nothing else? Sorry.
I don't know. I was just going to say, I think with Stafford, Stafford's back. The Rams are healthy. McVay's it'll be fine. Cooper Kupp will be fine.
I think so too. And they improved their backup quarterback, which is the biggest thing.
Yep.
Because I'm not sure if Matthew Stafford's going to tough it out, even though he's a tough guy. I don't think he's going to last. Yep. But I think Stetson Bennett is better than people gave him credit for. Randy wants to know about the Joe Burrow injury. Are we worried about it? I'm not at all.
No.
Just a calf strain, calf pull. He'll be out for a couple weeks. Last year, if you loved how good Joe Burrow was last year, he missed the first part of training camp with appendicitis last year. So, rinse and repeat, he's fine.
Yeah, Burrow's a tough son of a bitch. He'll play through anything.
And he's there. It's not like he's rehabbing away from the team. He's doing everything. He's just not throwing the football. Does Tua stay healthy all year?
Nope.
No. Who are some sleeper picks in fantasy? We'll dive into that deeper, I'm sure. We've talked about how James Cook is severely underrated. I know that's been the big headline today as well. People are figuring that out. You heard it on Fantasy Football by Committee first. I think Justin Ross is a deep sleeper. Any others that pop into your guys' mind?
I'm just trying to think of the articles that I just wrote up. I mean, like Jerick McKinnon. I'm a big Jerick McKinnon guy.
I think Marvin Mims now.
Yeah, and I guess based on where he's going, like Dalton Schultz.
Yeah. Sorry, I had Dawson Knox in my mind when you said that, and I'm like, don't say something mean. But yeah, Dalton Schultz, yes.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, we'll for sure dive into that deeper once the summer rolls along, ADP settles a little bit. But let's talk about another big headline. People have been talking it to absolute exhaustion. I almost pronounced that word correctly. That's the Jonathan Taylor stuff sitting out. Obviously, his moronic agent he must be also a hypnotist. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah,
like I don't know how he's convinced Jonathan Taylor, and I don't know how this guy is an actual agent who has a client of Jonathan Taylor's caliber. Not only is he making a terrible business move, doing it in a terrible way, then also he's acting like he hates everybody in the building, apparently. Like it's the opposite of what Jonathan Taylor has been his entire career since college, and it's for sure not going to work here. So, I mean, we don't need to talk this into oblivion here. I don't think he's going to get traded. I will say that. I know the trade talks are heating up today. I'm not saying that's coming directly from Taylor's camp, but, probably coming from Taylor's camp.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jonathan Taylor plays. Right now, he might be going on the NFI list with the back injury that he didn't disclose. He says that's completely untrue. There's no back injury, but then he's at camp limping around. So I truly have no, like, he could be faking it. That's how delusional he's acting right now. So, truly, I'm not drafting him. I don't know what he's doing on a day-to-day basis right now. I just want no part of it, and that's coming from a Wisconsin Badger fan, someone who likes to cheer for the Colts when they're doing well as well. Like, I like everybody on the Colts. I want them to do well. I love Jonathan Taylor. I think he's a top 2 pure runner in the league. It's him or Nick Chubb, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I'm not touching him in fantasy right now.
Yep. I'm sorry, Trevor. I've always said on this show, question marks are very bad in fantasy football, and that's kind of getting into this territory for me. So, Zach, I'm with you. Like, just stay the fuck away from it.
Like, it's one thing if he's limping. He looks horrible. Like, that's not a limp. Like, he looks like he can barely stand or sit. Like, that, I don't want to touch him at all.
It was so obvious that it feels like it's fake. And that scares me more, I think. It's so weird. It's really, really weird. I just can't do it. Yep. If I'm a dynasty owner, I'm sitting though. If I own Jonathan Taylor in dynasty, you cannot move him right now. Do not do that. Because you're selling low. There's no way people are buying him of Jonathan Taylor value. There's no shot.
Agreed.
Randy wants to know what's our thoughts on Dan Campbell wanting a real lion on the sidelines. I think people forget this isn't the first time he said this.
Mm-hmm.
He said this before. I thought this was like an unearthed interview from last year or 2 years ago, but he said it again because he really wants a fucking lion there. The Lions owner approved it, which is even better.
Mm-hmm.
That's a new wrinkle to the story. And then Roger Goodell, owner of the commissioner of the No Fun League, says, no, I don't get it.
I just want to know why not. Like, if the lion's in a cage, who cares? Like, why does it matter?
And if you let him out of the cage, he's still in a contained space, the stadium. That's fine.
I'm all for that. Is funny. He's in. Yeah, you're right, Zach. He isn't. Like, he's not getting out into the city.
No. And you think, oh no, the lion's gonna hurt people. Dan Campbell's there.
Right.
It's gonna be okay. I think it's gonna be fine.
But I'm all for every single team getting a live mascot of their team and putting him on the sideline.
Well, maybe not the Packers.
Yeah, like, what are we doing?
You know how great it'd be to get like just a cheese vendor on the sideline?
I mean, I'm positive they have that already. Someone just selling cheese curds or what?
Fair. You got to put them in a cage.
Okay, sure.
I'm in for it now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. What are other?
Like,
so if every team did this, what's the top 5 ranking?
Lions are definitely up there.
Lions are up there. Panthers, I mean, are right along with that.
Probably
Jaguars right along with that.
Probably Bengals too.
All the big cats.
Yeah.
Broncos could be cool if they do it right.
It's gay. I got to be cool Bronco.
Bills could be cool.
Chargers.
In
I just want to see
Yeah.
lightning in a bottle. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That would be kind of cool.
Chiefs
all the
would be
birds
not
suck.
good.
Chiefs would be problematic.
For sure.
What if for like the Commanders, they just like caged Biden and put him on the sideline every single
That's
game?
possible. I mean,
That's what I was
that's
thinking about
possible.
with the Patriots. If the Patriots played the Chiefs, that'd be tough.
Speaking of Jonathan Taylor's agent, he also wants Washington to go back to the Redskins. So
Yeah, tough.
He's on a roll right now.
Yep.
Shut your mouth. I just don't get what he's doing.
Right.
Good for him. Next bit of news. Big news today with no conclusion, which is a little bit frustrating. Alvin Kamara met with Roger Goodell today to talk about the suspension. For people who don't remember, it must have been 2 years ago now. At Pro Bowl in Las Vegas, Alvin Kamara gets into a fight, beats the hell out of somebody, and then he gets arrested. He gets pulled from the Pro Bowl because he's in jail and in trouble. So he didn't serve his duties, I guess, as for the NFL to be in the Pro Bowl. He gets in trouble in Vegas. A lot of bad looks. He ends up not getting not getting charged in terms of in the eyes of the law. The NFL always waits to see what the court systems do, and that didn't happen. So now we're kind of at okay, so what do we do? I think Alvin Kamara is still going to get suspended. Some people will say that's unfair. However, this was in Vegas. Players can't be getting in trouble in Vegas. That's a bad look for all the sports leagues trying to expand into Vegas. He had to play in the Pro Bowl, which didn't happen because he got arrested. That's a major thing. So there's a lot of things at play. I don't think it's going to be a major suspension, though. Like, in my opinion, 2 to 4 games is what he's going to see. But we don't know. We'll probably find out tomorrow would be my guess. My question to you guys, a couple questions. If you own Alvin Kamara in a Dynasty League, are you trying to trade him before the news? If you don't own him, are you trying to trade low for him prior to the suspension, hoping that person kind of panics and, just wants to get rid of him? Are you doing any sort of movement prior to the news?
I think at this point, like, if you have him and you're going to trade him because of this news, you have to trade him before the news comes out, right? So I think you have to be moving here pretty quickly. I guess maybe not. I don't know. What do you guys think on that? Like, if it's like I don't know. Let me finish my point here. I think maybe you have to trade him before. Sorry, I got thoughts coming out right now. But like, if I'm trying, like, I don't hate, like, if I am in desperate need of like an RB2 or something, I don't hate going after Alvin Kamara very low right now.
Yeah,
I think that's what I want to say. I think this is one of those situations where it's kind of a catch-22 because the people who want Kamara are trying to buy low for him, and the people who have Kamara are overvaluing him right now, even if he gets suspended. It's just kind of a cluster right now. If we know one thing, we know the NFL is not going to make the right decision. So that tells me they're either going to try to find a way to suspend him like 4 games for a misdemeanor, or they'll suspend him for like 1, which is like, what's even the point? So, I mean, if you can buy him, great. But I just also think it's a little too early to kind of make a call because we don't know. I mean, a lot of things can happen in Dynasty between now and September, 10th, 11th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for redraft leagues then, Alvin Kamara is currently going as running back 30 in PPR. That's 78 overall. Obviously, he's been going lower because of the possible suspension. So given what you're projecting Alvin Kamara to miss, then, do you think that RB30, 78 overall, do you think that's too low or too high for Alvin Kamara to get drafted right now?
To me, right now, it feels running back 30 feels like a good spot for Alvin Kamara. And that's without anything going on. I think, it's probably a tad high if he does get suspended, but just given my interpretation of the Saints offense, I don't think the Saints are going to score many points this year. I don't think that team is very good at football. They have two running backs. One's coming off of a 18 rushing touchdown season. Like, there's a reason they brought in Jamal Williams. We've talked about it before. Like, Alvin Kamara doesn't have a 1,000-yard rushing season. He hasn't really been anything worth fantasy relevance without Drew Brees. There's just a lot of red flags around Alvin Kamara. Add on the suspension, and I think I'm out.
I think I'm kind of iffy on him because some of the running backs are being drafted around him I actually like better than Kamara, and I don't mind. But at the same time, like, Kamara has never been anything great, but even like for the potential, we know he's not going to score many touchdowns unless he busts a long one because, Jamal Williams and Taysom Hill. But like, if you can end up with Kamara as your running back 3, maybe probably running back 3, I think I'm probably pretty happy with that. So for that reason, I like taking him there. Obviously, it's going to change on his suspension, but I mean, if he gets suspended 2 games and drops much lower, I think he's got a good chance of becoming a quote-unquote steal just because of what he could be.
I'm just taking a guess what the market's going to do. If he gets suspended 2 games, I feel like he's going to rise up draft boards. I don't know how much, but like I could see him going around the James Conner area, which is RB25. That would be 62 overall. So that'd be jumping 16 draft spots. I think Alvin Kamara is going to rise to a point where I hate him. That's my guess. I don't love him for fantasy for all the reasons you said. We've talked about it into exhaustion already. I'll say it more times than sure the rest of the summer. On top of that, Trevor Penning, tackle, who I absolutely fucking love. He's already hurt again, I believe. That seems like it's going to be a thing. Trey Turner, their guard, out for the season already. So their offensive line is getting worse on top of that as well. The push in short yardage situations already wasn't really there. I just don't see very many touchdowns. And if I'm trying to draft a running back around that area, like I think James Cook's going to score more touchdowns. I think Brian Robinson, Jamal Williams on the same team probably will score more touchdowns. Samaje Perine a while later, I think is going to score more. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't see a scenario where I end up with him on very many redraft leagues minus Scott Fishbowl, where I already drafted him. I think he was my running back 4, though.
I was gonna say, is he someone that you guys are trying to go? For best ball? Is he a candidate for you guys?
It depends on how late he's going, I guess, but not really. I don't see like huge weeks from him.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, like I think there's a better chance Brian Robinson has bigger weeks more often than Alvin Kamara.
I agree.
Just because, there's going to be weeks he falls in the end zone a couple times.
Right.
But yeah, don't love it. Tank Bigsby also, I don't have this written down. He's going running back 48. Apparently looking really good in short yardage situations in Jacksonville. Sounds like he's going to be getting a lot of touchdowns, maybe takes away from Etienne a little bit. Little something to keep in mind.
Feels like that's what Jacksonville needs. A bruiser down low.
They do need that. They absolutely need that. Another running back news we don't really need to talk about very long. Javonte Williams, we've talked about it a bit already in past weeks. Just talking about how I thought he was going to be good to go. I really like him for fantasy this year. And the news is now that he is no longer limited at all. So anyone drafting, trying to project the Broncos, anything in terms of where Javonte Williams will be week 1, 2, 3, it sounds like he's going to be a full go far before that. So I think project him as you would if he's 100% healthy, because it sounds like he is.
It feels like that's a quick recovery, no?
It was week 4 last year.
A little bit.
Okay.
4?
Yeah, so, I mean, Adrian Peterson, he was a freak. He came back in 8 months, put up 2K yards. Yeah. But, this should take the training wheels off if you're even considering a running back. His ADP, if he's a full go by week 1, he's going to blast through that if he just stays healthy.
He's also 23. Like, there aren't very many 23-year-old running back. That's part of the reason why he came back so fast. But he's young. He doesn't have that much tread worn off the tires yet. So
Right.
I like it a lot. A lot. Maybe this isn't, to me, it feels weird that he's younger than Rashad White.
It does feel weird.
Just a year, but that's weird.
Rashad White played last year, and it feels like Rashad White's a rookie this year.
Mm-hmm. It really does. Anyway, other stuff. Tim Patrick, favorite of the show. We loved him.
Devastating.
Sleeper.
No, we still love him. Show some respect.
Oh, did I put a D on it?
Mm-hmm. I'll always love Tim Patrick.
I will too. Out for the year, torn Achilles. That sucks. And honestly, that hurts the Broncos offense a lot.
Yeah,
more
it
than
does.
People probably want to give him credit for. He was lighting up camp. Obviously, that's a big reason why we were like, we really like him this year based on his value. But he's out. KJ Hamler, also a quick speedster, deep threat guy. He got cut because of a non-football injury. It sounds like something with his heart. Hope he's all good. Sounds like he's not going to be on a team this year. But he's out of the picture now, too. So now they got Courtland Sutton, they got Jerry Jeudy, and they got Marvin Mims, the rookie. And clearly Marvin Mims' value jumps up. I'm not sure if I would raise up Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy based on what's going on. But I think Marvin Mims is forced to be a relatively major part of the offense now. So I think he's somebody to keep an eye on during preseason, during camp, during all of that. Because I think there's a shot he develops wide receiver for value at some point.
Yeah. I Zach, I'm with you on that. Like Tim Patrick is, we, like we said, you talked ad nauseum about it. But to me, I mean, Tim Patrick's a 750-yard, 7 touchdown guy. Healthy. KJ Hamler's probably a 400-yard guy, a couple touchdowns. Like where does that go? So I mean, like you said, it can only be good for Marvin Mims. I know, Zach, you and I guess Trevor both, we're all on Greg Dulcich. It feels like there's more production there. I assume Greg Dulcich is going to shoot up draft boards. So like you said, I think there's a lot of production to go around now that these two guys are out that people didn't really realize could go around with these two guys out. So yes, I'm with you. I think Marvin Mims probably sees the biggest boost. I mean, he's immediately going to get time. So yeah, I mean, I'm with it. Sucks to see two guys go down. But someone's going to get the reward, and it's probably Marvin Mims or Greg Dulcich.
Yeah, the Ravens have running backs, the 49ers have quarterbacks, and the Broncos have wide receivers that always get a season-ending injury every single year, no matter what. Like you said, that's a huge miss. And I mean, now we're talking if anybody else in this top three goes down, they're screwed. Like you can't run out of. I mean, they can, but you can't run out of 2 tight end set with Albert O. But I would argue he's probably your next best weapon in terms of a receiving threat. Maybe throw out another running back out there, Samaje Perine, I guess. But I mean, they're really thin now. They can't have anybody else go down, and they still have a month of practices and 3 games to get through. That's tough.
They really like Adam Troutman there for that tight end too. He's gonna be that. I do think they'll run a lot of 12 personnel. But Greg Dulcich, I think he's going to be possibly number 1 receiving target in the red zone now. Mm-hmm. I think Tim Patrick truly, that's where he's obviously thrived his entire career. And I think Dulcich is going to reap the rewards. There was some headline about him doing something good in practice today. I hope he doesn't spike up draft boards, but he deserves to. And I think he's going to be good. Other wide receivers there, looks like they have brought over a couple more Saints other than Troutman. They got Marquez Callaway there, I guess. And they got Lil Jordan Humphrey. He was with the Saints. So, I mean, they know the offense. Clearly, Sean Payton liked them enough to bring them in. So, expect them to do something this year. Not fantasy relevant, but enough to be annoying, I would say.
Callaway is going to be a great answer for Luke's crossover or immaculate grid in a couple years' time.
Mm-hmm.
Sports Reference just announced they released a hockey version. I can't imagine a tougher thing of all time to do.
They have
I can't even spell names. It would work.
Right. They have another one, not Pro Reference, but the other who do the grids, and it's soccer. And like, just no chance whatsoever.
Some of those are pretty easy, but today was all Spanish teams. It's like, no.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
And the one country you had to match up was France. It's like, dude, they don't have French people in Spain. Don't lie to us.
Right.
Yeah. Tough.
Yeah. Trevor, I'm sitting on that New Orleans, Denver. I'll have that in my head forever now. Waiting for Marquez Callaway.
I mean, there's 3 of them we just named.
That's true.
Got Adam Troutman. You got a little Jordan Humphrey.
Adam Troutman will give you the best rarity score, I bet.
Probably.
I got Tim Patrick and Warrior Bull and Scott Fishbowl. This makes me mad.
It does suck. And this is another little PSA, I guess, for people who have already drafted, either if it's Dynasty or something like that. Look at the injury tags on your players. There's a lot of people on PUP list, IR, maybe a little bit still. You can put those in the IR spot and pick up other people during camp. That is something you absolutely need to do, or just drop your kicker and pick them up. That's something you can do as well. Other fantasy news, Aaron Rodgers says this is going to be a few years partnership between him and the Jets. I mean, amongst us who cover the Packers, and after this show, we will be live again talking about the Packers with Lombardi sweep.
For sure, without Aaron.
True. Is it? No.
We talked about the trade. We did. We talked about the draft and stuff. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah. But yeah, so the plan is for him to be playing there for a few more years. And that's interesting for fantasy because if you're a dynasty owner of Aaron Rodgers, there's people who sold him for cheap thinking this is going to be a one and done situation. I know I have him in a dynasty league, and now he suddenly has revived value in dynasty past this year. So I think he's a guy. I don't know if you can buy him low now.
I think right now is the lowest you can buy him.
Maybe I don't think so. I think you could sell high on Aaron Rodgers right now after that news.
I think you can. Yeah.
I think it depends who you're buying him from. If you're buying him from a Packers fan, this is the lowest you're ever going to be able to buy him.
I don't know. I think his stock can go lower. Like right now, all we hear is good stuff. He's hitting dimes. He's going to be there for multiple years. He's got a stacked receiving core, backfield, and Dalvin Cook's coming, and Devontae Adams is coming at the trade deadline. There's so much hype right now. Like I feel like you can, for sure, always play mind games. Like if you're sending messages and stuff like that with your trades, hype this fucking guy up. But I think you can sell him if you hype him up well enough.
You're right. Inevitably, when someone asks Aaron Rodgers or he starts talking about ayahuasca, then he'll be much lower.
For sure. Or, I mean, they lose to the Patriots. They lose to somebody like that. Fans will turn on him. If he throws an interception the first game before a touchdown or something, people are going to be like, oh, Aaron Rodgers isn't even trying. Like, what's he doing? Like, New York media has the ability to slaughter him.
Yeah.
And they will, you give him the opportunity.
Yep. I will say that in regards to like a dynasty fantasy football league, if you're in a super flex league, I love going for Aaron Rodgers for your second quarterback. If he's staying for 2 or 3 years, I mean the Jets are turning into a Super Bowl contender. They're going to be a good team on both sides of the ball, and you have the best quarterback in football, top 5 quarterback in football, manning that. I'm totally in on Aaron Rodgers. If you're looking to go get him, you have my full support in doing that.
Same. I will say, though, I don't think he, at this point in his career, on that offense with that good of a defense, like, I don't think there's any shot he's a top 6 quarterback, let's just say. So I just say that to say I don't think I would overpay for him.
Sure. Fair.
But, I mean, I think he's going to be good. I just think he's a low ceiling, high floor guy.
Fair. I'm with you on that.
Let's go to the other coast in Seattle. We got running back injuries already. That also seems like a team that always has running back injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily season ending, but it is what it is. Kenneth Walker has a groin injury. I believe they called him week to week, which means multiple weeks. Rookie Zach Charbonnet has a shoulder injury. They were a lot more confused by it, I would say. Some people downplayed it. Some people acted like they didn't really know how long it was going to take. That one scares me more than a groin injury, even though groin injury, both are, possibly the 2 worst for running backs at this point. minus the season-ending injuries. But I say both of those to say Kenny McIntosh is looking really good right now, and he is on waivers in a lot of dynasty leagues. He's super quick. He's getting all the starter snaps. And even if both of the other running backs start the year healthy now, I feel like McIntosh is doing enough to have a role. Not to say that if everyone's healthy, I don't think he's going to be fantasy viable, but I think it hurts the other two.
Yep, 100% agree. Like you said there, even if they are healthy, there's only one guy getting first-team reps in the most important part of the season right now. So I'm in on Kenny McIntosh. Even like you said, even if both guys are healthy, I think I'm still taking Kenny McIntosh. Like, if one of them goes down, they have a reason to play him now. Like, there shouldn't be worries about him learning a playbook or learning, where to cut, who to block, anything like that. So I'm in on Kenny McIntosh after, hearing both running backs go down, and he's the only one getting first-team reps.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the article's up now or soon or whatever, but I love McIntosh, and I'm going hands off of Charbonnet and Walker because strength of schedule wise, for running backs, Seattle has the worst schedule. And I have nothing against Kenneth Walker. I think he's a great player, but he's coming into the season injured. He came into last season injured. Like you said, the Seahawks are somehow always injured. It could be a 3 running back backfield depending on how they play this out. So those top 2 guys, I'd be very cautious to draft. We have some time before the season starts, but I think right now, if I'm drafting any of the 3 at their ADP, it's going to be McIntosh, and I don't really even want to touch the other 2.
I think that's fair. I don't hate Kenneth Walker. I'm still a pretty big fan of him, but I just don't think anyone's going to see a big workload at this point. I think all 3 are very good players, which is frustrating. What I will say, and you could take this 2 different ways, like Seattle's not working out running backs right now.
Right.
And there's a lot of talented running backs available. So one line of thinking is that, they feel very comfortable with the 2 injuries. We're good to go. The other line of thinking is McIntosh looks really good. And if we have to roll into the season with him in a major role, I feel like we feel good. So regardless, I feel like they like the people on their roster. They're comfortable with it. They have money. I just looked up their salary cap. They have enough money for a running back. I mean, we're not paying running backs anything, right? Who cares?
Right.
Just get a couple gumballs from the machine before you got out of there, and they'll be happy. Or Skittles, I guess. They did that for a while with Marshad, literally.
And
but
they'll like it.
They will, yeah. They shut your mouth.
Right.
Don't develop a limp, and you'll be fine. But, yeah, I think they have a talented backfield. I think they want to run the ball more. I think their offensive line's better this year. I'm not as negative about their running backs as you are, Trevor, based on the strength of schedule, but I'm negative based on, if it's a 3-headed monster, that sucks. And all of a sudden now Jackson Smith and Jigba is the best wide receiver in camp, which isn't surprising, but that's the case there. Now do I not want to draft any other wide receivers either? Like, there's a lot of, like, the ball's going to go to a lot of people in Seattle this year. And maybe that's good for Geno Smith. Maybe he has a repeat year of fantasy success. But based on everybody else, I think it's going to be a lot of inconsistency in terms of who finds the end zone, who sees the targets.
So based on that, like, off to their ADPs right now, are you totally off of Seahawks players?
I would have to look. Let's see where the wide receivers are going.
Okay.
So DK is going earliest. I'm hands off him. I know that. Wide receiver 15, 34 overall, too high for me. Lockett will be next. I'm hands off him no matter what. He's wide receiver. Maybe not. He's wide receiver 30, 73 overall. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba's presence hurts him most, but wide receiver 30 also isn't bad. Jackson Smith and Jigba's getting drafted 42. That's 99 overall. There's other people there I like more, but there's people getting drafted ahead of them that I for sure like less. Like, it's not a secret that I don't really like Gabe Davis. Traylon Burks, I don't like. Jahan Dotson, even. Like, I think it's a coin flip between those two. I think they both could be good. They both could be nothing. So
Sure.
I just think they're all going to be inconsistent. That's the hard part, and I hate inconsistency.
So it's kind of proceed with, we hate some guys, but, cautiously check, look where they're going.
The good thing about Seattle is, yes, everybody, they have a lot of good starters. Ball's going to go in a million directions. However, the only direction they can go is up.
Right.
Like if somebody gets hurt, if DK gets hurt, if Lockett gets hurt, if JSN gets hurt, then all of a sudden they're not super deep at wide receiver. So now all of a sudden, end of the year down the stretch, they're good. So that's the thing. Like if I avoid them, I look smart the first half of the year, and the second half of the year, they're like, that's why I drafted Lockett. You guys are idiots. And
Right.
yeah, you can't really win in this situation. But
Yeah, for me, the only guy to go completely hands off of is Metcalf. I don't see a world in which he's wide receiver 15. Like you can't argue that.
I mean, and I just don't like him as a player either. So I'm probably biased, but yeah. We've got a question here on YouTube from Jake.
Jake from State Farm.
Jake from State Farm. We got a dynasty question with contracts. So that we might need more information possibly, but one quarterback, half PPR. He has Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. He has Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. The trade is Josh Allen and Tyreek Hill for Jamar Chase and Deontay Johnson. Oh. Am I giving up too much for Chase? Chase is under contract 4 more years.
Yes.
Hill and Allen for 2.
Yes, you're giving up too much for Jamar Chase.
I'm not doing this trade.
Yeah, no, there's no shot.
You can get more for Allen and Hill too. Like I think that's my biggest thing. Like I don't think this trade really helps you. And I mean, even if it were to, like you can get more than that for Allen and Hill.
Yeah, you're like Hill and Chase. We'll just say we'll call it a wash for the sake of this. And Deontay Johnson, you're going to hesitate to start Deontay Johnson every single week. Trust me, I've done it the last 2 years. I've drafted Deontay Johnson. Do not do that trade. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I had David Johnson in my head when you were reading that.
Yeah, I had to think too. I always think I love David Johnson.
I do too.
And one of the things too about contract leagues that we kind of did, if you have Allen and Burrow as your quarterbacks, you have Tyreek Hill, you probably don't really need to plan for the future. I'm assuming. Like you can probably go for it this year. I'd go for it 2 years over saying maybe a window for 4. Like don't be the Packers here.
I bet that you could get a low-end RB1, high-end RB2 for Josh Allen alone.
Possibly, depending on how everybody else's, salary cap is situated.
Right.
But yeah, go in this year. It seems like you have a really good team. No reason to keep both Burrow and Allen. So I like that you're trying to make a move and get better. I just don't think that was the move to make you better.
Yeah.
Essentially. Good question, though. I do like that.
Also, Jake, if you're still in the chat, I would like to know how you got Allen and Burrow. I guess it's contract league. Never mind.
Yeah, not a bad thing to do. Other quick stuff. Dalton Kincaid in Buffalo, rookie tight end who has been declared just as good as Travis Kelce already. So I'm sure that won't backfire whatsoever. Brandon Beane, general manager of the Bills. Unbelievable he's an actual general manager because I have to stare at Brian Gutekunst all the time. It's just very, very different people. Love Brandon Beane. He talked about how Kincaid's going to be playing the F a lot this year, F tight end. I'm not even sure if this is what it stands for. I just call it the flex tight end. Like that's essentially what it is. But that means Dawson Knox and him are going to be on the field quite a bit together. Maybe not quite a bit, but for sure on the field together. They're going to run a lot more of 12 personnel. But that means then Dalton Kincaid, a lot of D's and tight ends here. A lot of rich, white, douchey tight end apes. Mm-hmm. We got, so I looked out of the corner of my eye at Jake's message. I thought he said, thanks, made the trade. I'm like, you missed the point. But no, okay, he didn't make the trade.
Jake, if you do make the trade, let us know. Like, if you do make a trade, let us know what that trade is.
For sure. But Kincaid's going to be lined up an inline tight end like a Y. He's going to be in the slot. He's going to be split out. He's going to be moved all over. Think of if Knox is the Y, he's the F. Think of Gronk and Hernandez, not to say he's Hernandez. Apology for the comparison. But he's going to be the guy you move around. They've done the same thing with Darren Waller. They've done the same thing, with Travis Kelce, I suppose, too. With all those more wide receiver-like tight ends, that's what Dalton Kincaid's going to be. They're going to try to create mismatches. He's not super tall, super big, which is the issue where I'm like, he's not as big of a mismatch as some of these other tight ends are. So that's why he's not as big of a mismatch as Travis Kelce. But fine. He's going to be on the field a lot. Who does that take snaps away from? Who does that take targets away from? In my opinion, this hurts. I mean, it hurts Dawson Knox, obviously. I think this hurts Gabriel Davis. And today we also get news from Stephon Diggs, and apparently he is the official on the matter because people are rolling with it. He's saying that Gabriel Davis is going to have his biggest year so far. And I know before the draft, they talked about how they needed to get Gabriel Davis the ball more. Then they went out and drafted Dalton Kincaid. I'm fully off of Gabriel Davis. Like, if he proves me wrong, fine. I don't think he will. But Dalton Kincaid's slowly turning into a guy I think I can roll with for fantasy this year. What do you guys think while I look up his ADP?
I'm with you, Zach. We talked about before the show. I'm with you. Like, it feels like if Dalton Kincaid is going to be involved, it only takes away from Gabe Davis. As always, my worry with the Buffalo Bills and every single player that isn't Josh Allen, especially Dalton Kincaid, is where the touchdown is going to come from. So I understand the Kincaid love. I'm proceeding very cautiously. I think I'm still off of Dalton Kincaid, but I'm proceeding very cautiously just because you guys are with it. Like, I just don't love the touchdown production at all. Like, I don't see Dalton Schultz. I don't see Dalton Kincaid, catching more than 4 touchdowns this year.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm cautious too. I mean, it's insane that all this from Gabe Davis is starting because the Chiefs couldn't cover him in the AFC playoffs game for 2 minutes. Like, that's really where this all originated from. I don't trust him at all. Fool me once, fool me twice. That's the same story. But even Kincaid, I don't really trust. I guess for me, I got to see it first, right? I mean, we're seeing up and down from too many players on that team. Really, everybody but Stephon Diggs. So you got to show it to me. And for Kincaid, I mean, depending on your league, especially if you don't have a tight end spot, he's probably not going to be drafted. So you can wait on him.
So in PPR leagues right now, Kincaid's getting drafted as tight end 13. That's 137 overall. He's getting so much hype. I feel like he has to continue rising up draft boards. I know he's definitely higher than he was a few weeks ago. He's 2 spots ahead of Dawson Knox. I think Dawson Knox is obviously too high. But he's just behind Cole Kmet at 12, Dalton Schultz at 11, David Njoku at 10. He's just ahead of Tyler Higbee. Like, I think I'd rather take the chance on Kincaid over a Kmet, possibly over Schultz and Njoku, possibly, just because I feel like I can replace the value of those other guys with other tight ends if I miss. I think Kincaid's very clearly a high ceiling, high floor guy. There's a chance he's a complete bust. I think there might be I think there might be like a 70% chance he's a bust in terms of fantasy football this year. But I'm willing to take that chance, I think.
Okay. Answer my question.
Over those other guys. What do you guys think?
I'm not. I mean, for me, I like what Njoku got in the red zone too much, at least for looks. He didn't bring enough in, and that's certainly been a problem in his career. But obviously, the quarterback situation in Cleveland didn't help him. But I mean, for the other guys listed, Higbee, Kmet, like, are they going to consistently score enough touchdowns where they're going to outscore Kincaid by that much? I could see the reasoning to take him over those guys because they're not going to be touchdown savants this year either. So even if Kincaid's a bust, I can kind of agree with those guys not being that much higher on him.
In relation to those guys, I mean, Dalton, like, if I'm starting the season and Dalton Kincaid's my tight end 1, if Cole Kmet's my tight end 1, if David Njoku's my tight end 1, I don't feel comfortable about any of those 3 guys.
Agree.
Okay. And I think Zach, what you're getting at is Dalton Kincaid has probably the better opportunity to boom more than those guys, and you're willing to take that chance, which is fair. I'm just never going to be in a spot in any week where where I want to start Dalton Kincaid at tight end. Which, given the lack of depth at the tight end position, you may have to, but I do think that there's ways around that.
I agree, but so like I put 2 people next to each other, and I prefer the other guy as well. Would you prefer Kincaid or Greg Dulcich? I prefer Dulcich.
Probably Dulcich, right?
Trevor?
Probably Dulcich.
Agreed. So why wouldn't I take Kincaid and then take Dulcich, who's going as tight end 17, almost undrafted?
You're right about that. Right, correct.
Like I think there's a chance Kincaid could be what everyone's declaring him to be.
Fair.
Will he? Again, I think there's a better chance he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
But hey, everyone's wrong once. Once it happens, I'll admit it on this show. But it hasn't happened yet. But I'm willing to take the chance.
I disagree. I think that everybody's right always, just over a long enough time.
We don't have enough time to dispute that. This is the end of the episode, but maybe tomorrow we can dive a little bit deeper into that. This was Fantasy Football by Committee. Please subscribe to the show wherever you're listening. If you're on a podcast network, rate it 5 stars and share the show, please. Tomorrow we will be back. If you're listening to this on Thursday, we will be live Thursday night talking about running back handcuffs, overworked running backs with red flags. We will break all of that down. I assume and hope we'll have Alvin Kamara suspension news to add along with that. If you are watching with us live, hanging with us live right now, we will be back in just a few minutes with Lombardi Sweep. It's a Green Bay Packers podcast, so we'll be talking about Packers players that will be relevant for fantasy football as well. So there is still good information to come from that. Hang with us, jump in the chat with us as well. If you're listening to this, again, audio only, subscribe to Lombardi Sweep if you like us. And Trevor, what would you like to go out on here?
And Jake, we're on Wednesday, Thursday. If you have any fantasy football questions outside that time frame, go to Fantasy Football by Committee on Facebook. We're all on there. Other people are on there. It's going to be a good place.
100%. And you can read fantasy football stuff all year long on flurrysports.org. We'll be back tomorrow. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, we'll be back in a couple minutes